It would have been the flamingo, though.
Oh my goodness. Hello everybody and welcome to the Tait and Carter After Show. I'm Stephanie. We're so excited to have you guys here. If you're watching us on the stream.tv, you can also go to YouTube and join in on the chat. And you can tweet at us at Agent Carter AS or using the hashtag Agent Carter AS. Now, we have had two-hour events back to back. We know that we weren't able to get to all this stuff last week, and we do apologize. We have a very short amount of time, and
Spoiler, we're not getting to it all this week either.
Exactly. Yeah, we're going to do our best to get through everything without just recapping and getting into shallow commentary. So if we've not been able to talk about something that you guys really wanted to talk about or hear about, then make sure to tweet at us or chat at us with YouTube, and then we'll be able to engage with you guys because we want to hear what you think.
Or join the Facebook group.
Or join the Facebook group. Goop?
Yeah, that too.
So let's jump in. Initial reactions to this episode from Bryan Scheidler and Brian Carroll.
I didn't like it. I'll just say that. I felt like it's way too little too late for the series. I think it's, even though we've only had 10 episodes, it's been so slowly paced over just 10 episodes that by the time a plot twist was to happen, we've already have seen it coming hours prior.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they got to this episode and they're like, okay, we have all of this stuff that needs to happen before we can do the season finale. And they're like, well, crap. Let's see. Thompson needs to figure out who the bad guys are, and they have to get everyone on their team. They have to stop the dark matter portal. We've got a lot to cover, so let's just skip any exposition whatsoever, and
yes,
it just happens. So that being said, there is a lot I liked in this episodes, and overall, I think I actually did enjoy these two more than a lot of the previous ones, but I think they wasted so much time in the beginning of the season that they were rushed in these two.
Yes, and that was my feeling too. When I was watching it, I was like, okay guys, I've been waiting how many episodes for this? And this is, I feel like this proves my point that this show needs to have a longer run instead of, you know, being essentially a mini series. I think the story and the characters are interesting enough to have a full season. So that's how we feel about that. Let us know what you guys think. One of my favorite things was seeing Jarvis go bat crazy. Like absolutely nuts. We finally got to see Jarvis just lose his mind, and he's been talking about wanting to be in the field more, and he just did it. I think he took it too far, but I think he had to take it too far because nobody else was doing anything.
You know, I was loving Jarvis this entire episode, except for the point that even here, he has so much misplaced anger and guilt.
Yeah.
Like, at that moment when he was at Anna's bed and he's saying, I promise I'll never do this. I promise I'll love your brown sweater. I promise I'll love the thing. I'll make you apple tarts. I'll do all this stuff. Never, and I may have missed it, so if I missed it, let me know, but at no point does he ever say, I am so sorry that my need to go on these adventures is what did this. Because it was his, and the episode before, she acknowledges it. She says, don't make promises you can't keep or you're going to come back safe.
Yeah.
You need to do this, and you need to let me worry about you. But it's his need to go out on these missions that brought the danger home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And at no point does he acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Outside of that, though, Jarvis was outstanding. That anger, I totally feel that.
Well, he did what nobody else was willing to do. Dude just walked up and shot Whitney. It was like...
Yeah, no monologue.
No monologue, no grandstanding.
Yeah.
He literally walked up, shot her. There she is, mid-fall.
Great screen cap there.
Oh, thanks.
I think it was one scene too late, though. I think, you know, you have gun-wielding Jarvis going out of control makes sense if he thinks his wife's not going to make it. If he's sitting there being like, I'll believe in all the horoscopes, I'll do all that kind of stuff, and then she's like, I'm awake and I'm alive and I'm going to get better. He's like, great, now vengeance time. Like, that's like, it's one scene too late.
I agree.
Although, I think it made sense because he had to make sure that she was okay to feel comfortable enough to leave her bedside. I think it showed his devotion, and then he's like, you're going to live? Okay, I got this.
If she wasn't okay, and let's say she died in surgery, then I totally see Jarvis as 1940s, 1950s
Yes,
Punisher.
that's where I agree.
But she's okay to
But
an
she's
extent.
not okay. She's not okay because as
Right.
we've seen, Marvel, for some reason, loves to think that a woman's whole purpose is around having children. And so the greatest punishment a woman goes through is not being able to have children. We have that with Black Widow. We have that with Dottie. We have that with Anna Jarvis now. Who cares? Sometimes women just don't want to have children.
I think the reason they did this, they wanted to have a clear-cut explanation for why Anna and Edwin never have kids.
Maybe they just don't want children.
And that makes sense.
It definitely needs to be explained.
That makes sense in a rational world.
But they never
to
at any point
But to an
brought it up.
audience who's fallen in love with these characters,
Yeah.
they need to understand why they don't have kids. They need it to be spoon-fed.
But to an audience who never asked the question to begin with, like
Yeah.
no one was wondering, like when they're watching Iron Man, like after now having Agent Carter, no one's like, why didn't Jarvis have any kids? Like that's not like a question that's on the minds of anybody.
Of course it's not. But someone in the writer's room said, hey guys, wait a minute,
We
wait a
gotta
minute.
justify this.
Aren't people going to want to know where Edwin Jr. is? We got to deal with this
Nobody
now.
did.
Definitely.
At no point did anybody ever say anything about wanting to have children. It was so out of place.
Honestly, I thought she was going to be paralyzed.
So did I.
That made a lot more sense.
I almost wanted that more than her being barren because it made sense. That to me would have been more of a loss of her humanity and her femininity and everything because she was such a lively, active woman than being like, oh, sorry, chickie, you can't have babies.
Well, I'm very excited to
Okay.
hear the reasoning for why Agent Carter doesn't have any kids. I hope we get that next episode.
Well, it's probably because she had a bar through her and she suddenly
Well, we don't know yet. We gotta be spoon-fed that information.
we have to make sure that it's things out of her control instead of her own choice. Because God forbid, you know. Speaking of childless women,
Yes.
good old Whitney. Okay, I'm loving Whitney more and more every week. Every week. And this week, I was in. Like from moment one of her sitting there and like trying to control Wilkes and taking out the dark force from him. And God, it was so good.
But even before that, though, she really she's so in control of who she is. Even though she confirmed she's talking to someone in the dark dimension, Blackheart. But you know, she's still going through the scientific procedure. She's experimenting. She's asking questions. She's analyzing things. She's got the stopwatch to see how long Wilkes will stay solid, and she's so like on her game
Yeah.
that you see her progression. Like it's so important to her, and then when she doesn't get chosen
Oh, that broke my heart.
or whatever, the next step is, well, I choose myself. So I'm going to stab you in the chest with a giant vacuuming syringe.
I choose myself.
I choose you, Whitney.
But she is the best character. She's become the highlight of the show because she's
Yeah.
the only character who has any sort of consistency.
Yes.
You know, like she is a scientist from day one. She's I need a nuclear weapon. Done. I need these fuel rods. Done. Like that's what she's after. And at no point is she trying to, you know, put one over on anybody or even be double crossing. Like she has a goal and she goes towards it, which is not. You can't say that about any other character on the show right now.
But she goes for it
That's-
systematically, or strategically.
Yes, very
It's like,
methodical.
you know, and she was sitting there in front of Wilkes and she's like, physicist to physicist, let's figure this out. Like she's methodical about it. And it's brilliant to see what happens when she's like, okay, this needs to happen and then this needs to happen and then this needs to happen and then it doesn't pan out, you know, then instead of feeling sorry for herself or whining like Wilkes normally does when he doesn't get his way, she then's like, oh, okay, what are we going to do next? And then she figures out the next step.
Well, and I think this even
great.
goes into her motivations. At one point, it's like she said she wants power, but
Yeah.
she doesn't want power for power's sake. She wants to make the world a better place in her, in what she views the world.
Whatever that means for her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so she's like, to get to this point, I have these things need to happen, but to make these things happen, I need power. Okay, so how do I get power? Well, this dark matter just kind of fell into my face. Let's
Literally.
let's go that way. That'll work. So what do I need? Okay, nuclear explosion, giant portal into the demon world. Okay, this is doable.
Oh, my heart broke for her, though. I'm not going to lie. My heart broke. That image of them standing, and from the thing that she created. She created the first one, and she created the one that was in front of us in this episode. And it didn't pick her. She and, that image of like her here and Wilkes here and the opening, it's beautifully shot. It's beautifully constructed, and it's heartbreaking because he can suddenly hear what she's been hearing the whole time.
What I choose to think, because I believe Whitney is ultimately the intended destination.
Yeah.
Is that whatever this entity, this being is, Blackheart, knew it had to go to Whitney through a vessel.
True.
So Wilkes was actually the one being used and thrown away.
Although here's the problem.
And I think we're going to see that in the season finale.
The problem, though, is that Wilkes draws it out of her.
You're just ruining everything tonight.
It's what I do. It's what I do.
Stop bringing up facts. Jeez.
I'm a scientist, physicist to physicist. Let's figure this out. Let us know what you guys think. You can tweet at us at Agent Carter AS, or use the hashtag Agent Carter AS, or talk to us in the live chat on YouTube. So now that we talked about all these amazing childless women, let's move on to our title childless woman, Peggy Carter. Okay.
Here it comes.
Okay, everyone ready for the song and dance?
First of all,
Stephanie, please.
First of all, before we even get into that, she had a hole that ran through her body. And it's only taken her 2 episodes, I guess, to be totally fine.
She was fine by the end of last week.
Bawling, punching, kicking. I mean, mad props. I am not complaining. I wish that I had that. Really, my problem comes from a place of envy. But come on, she didn't even limp. Give me a break.
She limped for a good half episode.
Yeah, I guess she did, didn't she?
But here's the thing.
Sign.
They should have the writer should have actually taken this method of storytelling and applied it to the entire series and just sped everything up, like her healing.
Yeah.
Speed up the storytelling. You've sped up the healing because you can't have Peggy behind the walkie-talkie the entire time. She needs to be in the field. But apply that to the rest of the storytelling.
Well, I guess the thing we can take away from this is, love is her motivation, so love also heals her.
Well, there was that one line where someone said, like, man, the SSR has great health insurance. Like, no one caught that? It was very quick. I might have made it up.
Man, I'm in the wrong profession. But we finally got to see a glimpse into Peggy's mind, and it was a wonderful musical bit. I mean, I love that it started out with this whole noir thing with her and her brother, but I was a little concerned. I was in because I was, I'm a musical theater person, so I was like, okay, this is great. This is great. However,
content aside, because I know that's not what you are too pleased about. The musical, the spectacle of it all was fantastic.
It was.
Yeah.
And a lot of people online think that the reasoning behind what was being shown was they were trying to make a parallel between the conversations she often had with Steve, where looking for the right dance partner, haven't gone dancing yet, saving that dance for the special person, and then in here we see she's dancing back and forth, she's being torn between them.
Yeah,
so
that's dumb.
It's. I think that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
I still think they wasted an opportunity to really show us Peggy's mind.
I think though that sequence, like content, whatever, but like even as content was actually fine. But I think that it was misplaced. I think if you started the series or the season with that dance sequence, like introduce all these new characters, you're like, who are these people? And we slowly get introduced to them for real throughout the course of a season. I think then as an almost introduction into here's Agent Carter season 2. I think that would have been really cool to set the mood of this season.
I think the most significant thing that actually came out of that was the 2 seconds with Dottie, the I'm always on your mind.
Yeah, she's always in her head.
There's all these other distractions, but Dottie was the one who really wasn't singing and dancing and was the direct, the one who said, I'm always on your mind, Peggy. And then she was disappeared.
See,
And I think that was probably the most significant thing out of that whole thing.
Yeah, because Peggy and Dottie are meant to be together. So, moving on from that.
Blackheart.
Blackheart.
Moving on from that. We have only seen Howard Stark for a couple episodes. However, I would argue...
We've seen him every episode.
Okay, we've seen him every episode. Not necessarily in the flesh.
Like in a Scooby-Doo thing, the eyes move in that picture.
Oh man, he has become Big Brother because when he's not there, all of his inventions are the reason why everything is going to pots, and then he's always watching you as like this Stalin-esque thing. And then we get to see his inventions all the time. The biggest Easter egg, of course, of this episode was gamma ray gun. Really? Like, we're gonna go there?
Gamma ray gun.
They basically just wanted to say, Howard Stark may have had something to do with the Incredible Hulk.
May have.
And
But he's just like lounging around, like he doesn't even know their problems. He's just like, I'm gonna give them a gamma ray gun.
you know what would be super cool? A big old gun that will kill anything.
Howard Stark is just sitting around going like, I've never had a problem that couldn't have been solved with a gamma ray gun.
I mean,
very
that's what
true.
everybody
That is
says.
very true.
And
I
Peggy
mean,
Carter's always
yeah.
in trouble, so
What I want to know is, how does he even know that that's what they need?
Well,
He's gotta be
theoretically,
listening in, right?
No. The first episode, I think it was first or second episode. He took off because he said there's a specialist, another physicist.
Wasn't
who's
in Brazil?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
in Brazil or something. That's an expert on this, and so he was going to him to help to see if they could figure out something. And he's faxing back. Faxing is whatever the
he's
little.
telegramming.
He's telegramming. It's all in Morse code. He sent back these plans, being like, "Hey, I know Thompson can fly to London and back in like 30 minutes, but I can't get back from Brazil
Obviously.
to build this for you. So here are the plans."
I'm not under contract of being in this episode.
Yeah.
So I gotta.
I'm only
Email
on
it to
contract
you.
for the first episode for the premise, and then to come back as the savior in the final episode.
Oh, you know he's going to be back in the final
He's the,
episode.
yeah, he's the Christopher Robin of Agent Carter.
Yeah.
You know? Like all the little woodland creatures, they solve the day. Then Christopher Robin comes at the end and
Silly little
gives
bear.
the moral. And they're like, "You're the best, Christopher Robin, Howard Stark." That's what's gonna happen.
Oh,
Mark my
my.
words.
Oh, dear. That was good.
Thank you for that.
That was, yeah, that I think was the
I'm learning how
highlight.
cameras work.
Well, speaking of gamma ray cannons, Jack Thompson, of course. This guy, like it's gotten to the point where I just feel bad for him. Like I stopped being annoyed with him, and I just feel bad because he, Peggy says to him, she's like, you don't have to cut corners. Well, I mean, he kind of does because he's an idiot.
I don't think they did a good job showing us his like mental transition from, no, Vernon's a good guy. He just, he's got higher orders.
But that's because they don't have time.
I
They don't have
know,
time
but
because like spend so much time on everything else.
But they set it up so much earlier that he could have.
Yeah.
When they literally were like, we are rigging the election for the senator. After that, he's still like, whatever you want, Vernon. But this episode, it's like,
Sure.
he's like, Peggy, I've got all this dirt on you. She's like, do you? He's like, wow, do I? Wow, Vernon must be a bad guy. Thanks, Peggy.
Well, we don't even know necessarily if what he dug up is about her because it just says Agent M. Carter.
See, but I think it's just fake.
I think it's her brother.
We don't know that he was ever an agent.
But
we?
he did, well, yeah, because he recommended Peggy. And in order for his recommendation to carry any weight, he would have to be the person who's inside and respected enough by the group for him to be like, you should
was-
totally bring out my sister. And they'd be like, okay.
He was just drinking buddies.
Yeah, they probably, I mean, it's the English. No offense. Just kidding.
We don't know that much about Thompson to either be, know what his motivation is or surprised when he double crosses somebody.
Yeah.
It's like especially in this episode when everybody was quadruply crossing each other.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea where anyone was coming from, and it wasn't so much of like, man, what a puzzle, but more so like, man, they just got to fill this time.
Well, the only thing that they
Yeah.
really develop for Thompson is the fact that he feels completely inferior to Peggy. So it does, in a sense, make sense that he would turn around and be like, oh, I'm going to blow everybody up and I'm going to do the right thing and be a Boy
agree.
Scout.
I totally agree. I think after last season, he wanted to be the hero.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, hey, okay, guys, here's the plan. Except it's not the plan. This is the plan. And, okay, and you know what? That wasn't the plan either, because this is the plan.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just exhausting.
They did one thing and it ruined all my plans.
You're like, I can't talk to you anymore. Like,
It is a little
I don't care if you're
exhausting.
evil or not. You're just
sit
tiring.
down, do your coloring book.
Yeah.
Right? And the thing that also didn't make sense to me was how Sousa and Dr. what's his name just flew right out of my head. How they were so quick to suddenly be like, you know what, Jack? Okay, we'll go along with what you're thinking for this plan. I feel like nobody acted within
There was
their
an important
character for this
conversation
episode.
between Sousa, Jack, and Peggy that we missed.
Yes.
It should have been. They should have had that conversation when they were running out to the desert. They should have
Yes.
taken that time and been like, you know, when he tried to blackmail Peggy and be like, look, that's crap. You were in London for 10 minutes and they just happened to have the file that you have a magic thing that they know you have that can read through blacked out stuff.
Yeah.
A little convenient, don't you think? And it's like, there was time there for that conversation instead of having the triple change on plans.
Yeah, although I have to say, I did really enjoy the time that they gave to Joseph Manfredi's character. So I'm okay with not having that conversation.
Every
in a
time he was
sense.
on screen, that was fine.
Yeah, he's the best.
He was wonderful.
He's fantastic.
I feel like he's the most developed character of this entire series, and he only came on a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
He's certainly the most interesting.
Definitely. Like, he's the most pragmatic, I would say.
Yes.
Oh, you just beat up all my guards? We should talk.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you are legitimately going to blackmail me. That's fine. I've got nothing, you know,
And
let me hear you out.
I love that Mama Manfredi.
Oh, goes
there to
after him.
back
with
Just
the
him
a
knife.
up.
knife.
A big knife.
What's your
Yeah.
end game, Mama Freddy?
To stab him, obviously. She's
Yeah.
Italian. She's got it.
Mama Freddy's meat pies.
Yeah.
That's a theater joke. You know, musical theater, it's this episode.
Oh, dear. Well, we will be right back at you with fan questions, and thank you so much for joining, and make sure to chat at us or tweet at us. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Mama Man.
Just in case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live. In case you missed it live.
Oh, you'd want to take the time travel the whole way back.
Oh my God.
We had a crazy vampire threesome.
And you can't unsee that. That's burned into my brain now.
I was like,
How did you get here? No. Look at me. I'm dancing.
You know why we saying yes. You know why we saying yes.
He was like, yeah, I'll tell you whatever you want.
He is quite something.
and we're like, inseparable. She was shadier than Sunglass Hut with Ray-Bans on sale, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it wasn't. So come on.
You just went to a totally different direction on that.
When a billionaire goes broke, it means he's got like $4 million.
Hold the phone,
Hold on.
bro.
I found her to be deliciously out of control.
Oh man, looking forward to this fight.
Ooh, they about to get together. Watch, it's about to go down.
Somebody better take some pictures of this.
She just slapped the crap out of me.
And he's just
It's so good.
You can't count anything out.
Look at you.
It's been another awesome night at the Stream.tv,
always
guys.
awesome.
Thank you for joining us, you guys. We love you.
Welcome back, you guys. We are going to go to the wonderful Twitterverse to see what you guys think about this episode. Take it away, Brian.
Twitterverse time. Okay, so at Beauty and the Boy said, better get a season 3. We need to see her being appointed to S.H.I.E.L.D. and we need to meet Maria Stark.
Agreed.
I don't.
Oh.
We don't need to meet Maria Stark.
Oh, okay.
I
We
would
need a
love, I would
season
love
3.
a season 3 because I would really actually like to see her set up S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
But we don't need to see Maria Stark.
Why
That's-
don't you want to see Maria Stark?
it's not.
Because Agent Carter's not a catch-all for every Marvel property?
Yeah, it's. They're already suffering from trying to cram too much in and go too slow.
Yeah.
To spend too much. I mean, look how poor of a job they spent with Anna Jarvis.
Yes.
And Rose. They brought him in for a few key points. Rose has been amazing, yet they've underused her.
And Violet.
Anna's been amazing.
What about Violet? She's not even here anymore.
No, I think it's safe to say she was not a spy for the
she wasn't anything.
We got one episode left. I'm not counting out anything.
But I get why they want to see that, because they want more of what leads into Iron Man. But we don't need that. That's not the story.
No, we don't. That's not the point of Peggy Carter.
No, it's Peggy Carter's show. It should be her and how S.H.I.E.L.D. gets started because of her.
Yeah, you can have a Howard Stark show if you really want to see everything. I get that we've been getting the arc reactor and everything else.
That was basically Mad Men, wasn't it?
What, Howard Stark?
The Howard Stark show? Just
yeah,
yeah.
He was in advertising before going to war machines.
Yes, exactly. He was advertising for his war machines.
So next up, Delena Twinfire. Peggy does have a point. There may always be a cost in doing what she does, but that won't last forever and in every situation.
I loved that conversation between her and Jarvis. I feel like both of them laid some really important truth bombs, and I feel like that conversation did more for their character development than the entire season.
I agree. That was very good.
We do get to finally see Peggy's guilt, because she's so good at, just having to stiff up her lip and brushing it aside, but to finally see her feel a real emotion instead of this forced, oh, she's torn between two men, oh, she feels guilty for Wilkes, but doesn't really. When he says, well, a lot of people around you die, and they do, her reaction was what I've been waiting for this whole season.
Yeah.
Back me up.
Well, again, like, he only has that point after someone he loves got injured, didn't die. So, kind of a fallacy point.
And I would say, duh. Like, he's making this point at her, and it's like, of course she knows that.
Yeah.
That's what, everyone knows that. It's like he was the only person that it didn't click for. His wife even told him, like, this is dangerous and I have to let you go. Don't make promises you can't keep. That's like her catchphrase. She says it to everyone.
Yeah,
and
he
to
said
him.
it for him.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I think him actually vocalizing it was, I've brought myself into this world, so that means the realization that, okay, I did this, and people around me are going to die, but he's projecting it on Peggy.
Yeah.
So.
I'd say that. I feel like this was them both growing up. It was a conversation of adults, finally.
And then finally we have at ring_bear. Of all of the things to do a musical number on, and the writers chose picking between two men. Hashtag Agent Carter.
Agreed.
Yes.
Like, are you kidding me?
How do you really feel, Stephanie?
Well, because the problem is, like, they were just knocked out in the desert after, like, the rift had opened and was sucking people into it, and there's the actual danger going on. But let's hold up. What man am I going to choose?
Yeah.
Maybe not the traitor. Is my thing.
The guy who held a gun to her and flat out said, no, I did that for me.
Like, within the continuity of the episodes, like, that musical number comes like 5 minutes after he's like, no, where are the rods? I'm out of here.
This is something that I think we've seen the building and really came to a climax this episode is nobody believes him. He's constantly telling the truth.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I don't feel good. I feel like it's going to burst out of me. I'm going to explode. Okay, well, that happened.
Yeah, why didn't anybody listen to him? He literally
if
told
you don't
him he
think
was
I'll
going to
shoot
explode.
Peggy, whose life do you think I value more, mine or hers?
But he's been complaining the whole season. Like, when are we going to listen to him if he's just going to constantly be complaining?
I don't know.
That's what he was. He was like, oh, this plan's not going to work. Oh, you don't know what it's like. Oh, it's going to be in the thing that I'm not going to tell you about. It's like, we're not going to listen to you now.
Once Stephanie starts complaining, I tune her out. So.
Wow.
That's terrible.
I mean,
so that happened.
I mean, Steve. That's why he's not here.
Yeah. He jumped ship. All right, let's go to
Okay,
YouTube.
so my YouTube crashed because the network was down, but Steve, who's in the chat, thank you, Steve,
We
sent me
love
a
you,
question.
Steve.
And he said, doesn't it seem possible that Jack is really the tragic hero of the show?
No.
Absolutely not.
Wait. How do you really feel? I think Jack would love to be the tragic hero of the show.
I think Jack
that's
thinks
what he's
he's
trying
going
to
to
do.
be, yeah.
He really desperately wants to be the hero because I think a part of him feels guilty that he did not give Peggy credit for, solving the Leviathan.
I think you're giving him more credit. I think it's not that he feels guilty. I think it's that he feels emasculated.
Well, he can feel both.
No, he can't. He's not developed enough as a character.
You're saying he's not complicated enough?
No.
Have you seen that stubble?
Yes.
That is complicated stubble.
It
I think
is.
every character wants to be the tragic hero. It's definitely Wilkes, who feels like he's the victim in all this.
Well, theoretically, we don't have to worry about him anymore.
Well, all I have to say about Wilkes is like, listen, if you weren't falling through the floor for no reason, then, I mean, count your stars. That's pretty good, right? I'll take that. Why was he falling through the floor?
Why was he still casting shadows?
Because reasons? Jeez. Do I have to explain everything?
Because all other special effects went into the goo.
Because hashtag science.
If I was ethereal and
Yeah.
I wasn't sinking through the floor, I'd be great. I think I would be a very lucky man.
I think what it is, and this is kind of what we get from what Whitney was explaining to him, is he had control over it. And we see him, he willed himself solid.
Yeah.
And he willed himself to be ethereal. So I think subconsciously he's like, don't fall through the floor. Don't fall down to the freaking core of the earth.
Yeah.
So subconsciously he was keeping himself there, but he was still scared, and didn't want to give in to what he was hearing, the voices and all that
the
stuff.
Eye of Sauron.
Yeah, Blackheart.
Blackheart.
So,
Gamma great gun.
I see you.
so he needed to really kind of be, his hand to be held through that, but subconsciously he was keeping himself there.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
That's
I think again, like
'Cause
for
I know
Jack
science.
Thompson, I think everybody's giving Wilkes more credit than credit is due.
But Jack is not a tragic character.
Right. Yeah, Jack is not
He's
gonna
tragic,
be the tragic
but not
hero.
the tragic hero.
He's just pitiful. So let us know what you guys think. If you think we're full of it or if you agree with us, you can tweet at us. Make sure to subscribe to thestream.tv here on YouTube and come back next week and then tweet at us all week at Agent Carter AS or using the hashtag Agent Carter AS. And make sure to tune into Agent Carter on Tuesdays. Tell ABC that we want another season because I want more Peggy Carter and I think you guys do too. So let's make it happen.
And Blackheart.
And Blackheart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you guys keep saying that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Gamma ray gun.
Hulk. So thanks so much for joining us, you guys, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Season finale!